We are sitting here at a playground on 128th Street and 2nd Avenue in New York City.
We are sitting across a magnificent piece of art.
This mural was crafted by well-known artist Keith Haring.
The bright orange mural with black letters and graphics reads, "Crack is whack."
Haring created this piece to bring light to the crack epidemic in New York City. He was frustrated with the government's slow response to the problem, so he decided to take matters into his own hands.
The mural created in 1986 was done so without any legal permission from the city. He was arrested and faced a large fine and potentially jail time. However, the popularity of the piece saved him from that jail time.
The City Department of Parks put the mural under their protection, and after restoration, the piece still exists today. The playground the piece is located at was renamed the Crack is Whack Playground in honor of Haring.
Keith Haring was born on May 4th, 1958. He grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, with his parents Alan and Joanne Haring. He developed a passion for drawing at a young age. Dr. Seuss and Walt Disney influenced him majorly as a young artist.
He graduated from high school in 1976 and enrolled at the Ivy School of Professional Art in Pittsburgh.
After 2 semesters in school, Haring realized that it did not really interest him in becoming a commercial graphic artist. He decided to drop out of school and to continue his studies on his own.
Later that same year, Haring decided to move to New York City to continue his education. He was a scholarship student at the School of Visual Arts. In New York, he was able to explore his gay identity and find other artists who he could relate his experiences to. The city almost matched his personality.
In the city, Haring found a different kind of art community outside of art galleries and museums. His education at SVA provided him the framework to develop his own style.
Haring was immediately drawn to the energy and spirit of the art community in the New York streets, subways, and parks. He became friends with other graffiti artists, including Kenny Scarf and Jean-Michel Basquiat, and began to participate in exhibitions.
As he continued to study, he found a medium that truly fit him. Haring noticed unused advertising panels in New York's subway system. With white chalk, he began to draw on these, creating hundreds of drawings.
When the opportunity comes, he moves fast. He has to. Opportunity for Keith Haring is a blank advertising poster. Using a piece of chalk, the young man from Kutztown, Pennsylvania, draws a picture, a cartoon-like drawing, which he finishes in a minute or two, and then moves on. He may do as many as 30 such drawings in a day, all different, but all the same in certain ways. He puts them down here so that millions can see them, and millions do.
You don't have to know anything about art to appreciate it. There aren't any hidden secrets or things that you're supposed to understand.
But he's got to be careful, because technically what he's doing is illegal graffiti.
I'm under arrest for graffiti in the subway.
Haring doesn't think he is defacing anything. He believes it is art, and many subway riders seem to agree. But the law is the law. For Haring, the arrest is always short-lived, and it's worth the temporary humiliation for him because he wants ordinary people, subway riders, to see his stuff.
In addition to these drawings, he created murals and even a few sculptures. Throughout his time, Haring's artwork began to grow popularity and he took advantage of this. He was recognized for his work in group and solo exhibitions around the world, public projects, and even opened up a pop-up shop.
Haring was able to accomplish the difficult feat of getting art made for the streets into fine art galleries and museums. This was allowing his work to reach a variety of audiences around the world. This also allowed him to quit his job and to actually have a career as an artist. However, despite his success, Haring did not escape criticism in the art world. Thanks to support from his friends, fans, and his mentors, such as Andy Warhol, Haring remained committed to his work.
Yes. As we saw in the mural, Crack is Whack by Haring, we see how important it is for his pieces to carry a social message.
Throughout his lifetime, Haring devoted his work to the public, His pieces carried messages that promoted support for charities, hospitals, and youth.
Harry even held multiple workshops for children to teach them the art of drawing.
In 1982, Haring created an extremely controversial piece that was never titled. The picture depicts two men with a bright red heart between them. The lines that Haring uses make the two men look as if they are jumping for joy. The thick black lines and bright colors are reminiscent of works by Pablo Picasso and Andy Warhol.
In the 80s, representing homosexual love in such a bold and euphoric way truly challenged the societal norms. This was a huge achievement for Haring and was not the end of homosexuality in his artwork. Haring, being a romantic, truly believed in the power of love and humanity to solve any problem.
Haring was not only focused on problems within the USA, he also created a political piece of artwork in response to the racial segregation and discrimination that still existed in South Africa in the 80s.
The piece titled Free South Africa illustrates a large black man steps on a much smaller white man who held the leash around the black man. The irony of the situation in the post-colonial South Africa was that the native black population was suppressed by white minority.
Haring once again uses thick black lines to show movement and highlight specific areas of the piece. For example, the lines radiating off the collar around the black man's neck draw attention to that area.
The image was often found on t-shirts and posters of those protesting against the apartheid in South Africa. A few years later, after pressure from many sources, President Nelson Mandela ended the apartheid. Haring's artwork not only brought awareness to social issues, but made a true impact.
Sadly, in 1988, Haring was diagnosed with AIDS. He began the Keith Haring Foundation to spread awareness of the disease, support others fighting AIDS, and to share his artwork.
In 1990, Keith Haring passed away due to AIDS-related complications.
However, this was most definitely not the end of the Haring legacy.
Haring proved to the world of art that street art is worthy of being inside of art galleries and museums.
His art opened doors for other artists such as Matt Groening, the cartoonist behind The Simpsons. He also led the way for other street artists including Shepard Fairey, Banksy, and Swoon. Graffiti art is still considered a crime, and these artists, including Haring, decided to take that risk.
As for the Keith Haring Foundation, they continue to support nonprofit organizations who help children and those who spread AIDS awareness. They also continue to protect the legacy of Keith Haring and his artwork.
Keith Haring challenged our minds in new and controversial ways. He brought color and life to serious issues so that people would pay attention. Haring redefined street art and paved the way for those to follow.
Yes, yes. And for that, Keith Haring will be remembered for years to come.
That has been another episode of Life Through Art. We dove into the life of Keith Haring, his artwork, and his influences. We will recap this episode with a few final pieces of art. As always, thank you for watching.